How's it going there? This is Nathan Hawken and welcome to the video. Thank you for checking it out. So what I'm going to talk about today is how to get back into the flow of things once you've been out of action for an extended period of time. And by out of action, I mean when you've taken some time off from working towards your goals, working towards your dreams, your desired outcomes and things like that. Speaking from my own experience, so at the time of recording this video, I still work full-time in a job and I'm building my coaching business on the side. And there's been a significant number of times, probably way too many times to count, that where I feel like I've had to stop and start on my coaching business. That's the thing I ultimately want to be doing. But sometimes it just feels like maybe work gets in the way, family and like being a husband and father gets in the way, or even just my energy levels where I've been working all day. Like I get up first thing in the morning with the kids and do what I need to do, work all day. Fortunately enough, I get to work from home, so that's great. But working all day and then doing the family stuff at night, then having some chill out time, and then the thought of actually putting more time into the business is, as much as I want to do it, it's like my energy levels might be quite low. And so it can feel like it's very much like a stop and start type of process where I get that motivation, I build it up, put some work in, and then I stop for whatever reason. Now, getting back into the flow of things can be quite difficult because for that very reason, you feel like you've taken too much time off or the motivation has been lost. It's difficult to know what to do next because there's so many things to do, so many things that you want to do. And even now, if we're recording this, like it's 2022, the world is in a pretty crazy state right now. And there's a lot of uncertainty in the world, a lot of people not really knowing what's going to be coming up next or where they stand in the world as well. And so because of that, they kind of reshift their priorities or focus more towards on the here and now. So like family and work and making sure that everything's covered here, which is perfectly fine, but it doesn't really leave much room for the things that like are going to fill you full of juice and like fill you full of energy, the things that you really want to do. And so I thought it'd be a good idea to kind of talk about that. I've literally just started getting back into recording content and getting myself back on track, and this is one of my first videos to do it. So I thought it was very fitting to speak about this particular topic. So some of the challenges that we face when we want to get back on track with our goals and with our dreams, with our outcomes, or even if it's just something that we want to do, one of the main challenges is that it's that immense overwhelm that can come when we start looking at the things that we want to do. And I put my hand up to this as well because I was even feeling this last night. Even though I'd done a little bit of content already and I'd started to put some energy into it, I can get quite overwhelmed because I look at all the things that I want to do. And on top of that, I also layer that on what I currently don't have and what I really want to have. And so if we put in a context of maybe financials or getting my business in a position where I've got regular clients coming through and things like that, it's like I'm not really doing myself any favors because I'm thinking about all the things that I want to be doing. Like I want to be creating content, I want to be working with more clients, I want to be doing this full time so I'm not working anymore. And to create content, I need to think about what I need to do. I need to be able to publish it. I need to put it on my social media channels and all these things. And already like you can start to feel that overwhelm start to kick in, right? And so I do a really smart thing and I put on top of that, well, this is what I don't have right now. I don't have all these clients. I don't have the money I want to make and all these things. And so naturally this immense overwhelm starts to kick in. And so as a result, what tends to happen is that we can stop ourselves. That becomes the blockage. It's like, I'm so overwhelmed right now. All I want to do is just crawl up into bed, not think about it and feel better tomorrow. And that's partly what I did. I was thinking about it. I lay in my bed for a sec. I was like, this is crazy. Like there's so much to do. My cat jumped on my back and started to fall asleep. I was like, you know what? I need to get myself up and go do something. And so that's what I did. And so the question really does become like, where do I start? Like what do I actually do? What's the first thing I need to do? Me personally, I get quite impatient with this type of stuff. And I can understand that you probably feel the same way because you do want things in a particular way or you're working towards having something, like working towards a goal. And when you don't have it, there's an impatience that can really start to kick in. It's like, I really want it now. Now, part of that is, this is very much conditioning, social conditioning. We're very much taught to have everything that we want immediately. And for the most part, we can get the majority of the things that we want quite quickly. And so there is a layer or an element of that in this way of thinking. But goals don't really work like that. Creating a business in particular, like if you're like me and you're creating you got a side hustle, like mine's my coaching business, that doesn't happen overnight. That takes a lot of time, a lot of years, a lot of work, a lot of energy, and a lot of fails along the way. I was recently speaking to someone who has a software business, and as an entrepreneur, when you're starting a business, you've got to fail a lot of times, but it takes anywhere between 10 to 15 years for that like success to hit, for the company and the business to be in a position where it's like successful in that it's self-sustaining, regular clients, it's building and things like that. So that impatience is a natural thing which can pop up. And I know for me, it screws me a lot because I get a little bit too impatient, which adds to the overwhelm. But this is just what can happen when we finally like pull up our boots and start getting back on track of things. These are the inevitable challenges which come with it. And then on top of that, we can really struggle with the motivation. So we may have built up motivation in the past, and it's not like we're not motivated, because we're always motivated to do other things. But when we're putting in the context of working towards our goals and dreams again, that motivation may have dissipated a little bit. So as well as feeling overwhelmed, as well as feeling impatient, as well as having those layers, that lack of motivation can just lightly, almost sometimes heavily, really just sit on top, which can make it quite difficult, because then we start asking the questions. Well, I don't know about you, but I ask these questions like, why aren't I motivated to do this? This is what I really love to do. I love coaching. I love working with people. Why aren't I motivated to do this? Which are terrible questions to ask, because the answer comes back and it usually compounds on those feelings of overwhelm and stress and anxiety, because it's like, well, because you're not good enough, or you're not smart enough, you haven't been putting in the extra hours. And so this is what some of the challenges really come up when we start to think about what or how we're going to get back onto track once we've lost the flow of things, and how we're going to rebuild that. And so the question is then, well, what can we do? What are we going to do? This is the question that I ask myself. It's like, okay, so what am I actually going to do? What's going to serve me right now? Because yes, I'm feeling unmotivated, I'm feeling impatient, I am feeling stressed, and I'm also feeling overwhelmed. So what's a good solution for that right now? Well, what I'm going to do is just share with you what I did in this particular circumstance, because I think it's quite easy. Because what we need to do is boil it down to a few simple and sometimes single steps each day. But prior to that, what we first need to do, and what I'd recommend you doing, is give yourself a break. Now, I don't necessarily mean go sit and watch TV for a few hours or go for a walk or anything like that. Going for a walk might actually help. But what I mean is give yourself a break and give yourself some credit, i.e. don't beat yourself up. Now, I'm really good at beating myself up. That's probably one of the things that I do really, really well, is like beat myself up. But that's not going to serve you. That's not something that's actually going to help you. In fact, it's probably going to make things worse. So what you first have to do is like give yourself a break and give yourself some credit for the things that you have been focusing on up until this point. It's like, yeah, so what? You haven't been working on your goals. So what? You haven't been working on your dreams. You haven't been taking those daily steps. Okay, fine. I'm sure there's been a good reason for it. Now, it may not be a good reason to help you moving forward, and that reason has to change, but I'm sure there's been a good reason why you haven't been doing that. Maybe there's been some blockages there. Okay, fine. If you've had some blockages, that also means that during the time when you've been like inactive, or you haven't been working on your goals, unconsciously you've been working through your blockages, or you've been allowing yourself to do what you need to do to start working towards getting the resources you need to get past those blockages. I mean, this is what it's all about. Sometimes we need to shift our priorities to focus on the really important things, especially during uncertain times. And when the time is better for you, that's when you start to get back on track. And I notice that with inside myself. I know that as much as I'd like to push myself, sometimes pushing myself isn't really going to work. Sometimes I know I just need time to decompress, to chill, to focus on my priorities, and then, like now, get myself back on track. So give yourself a break, give yourself some credit, and just say to yourself right now, okay, I've done what I've needed to do. Now it's time to refocus. That's cool. All I need to do now is just figure out what the next step is. And so the next step is always going to be a single solution, a single thing that you can do. You don't have to do everything. I mean, overwhelm comes when we're thinking about everything that we have to do. It's not about doing everything. It's just about doing something. It could be the smallest little task. It could be even sitting down and creating a small plan for yourself. That's all you need to do to get going, because momentum and motivation comes with repetition. So the more you repeat something, the more steps that you take, like as in one day you take one step, the next day you take another step, that's going to build up some more momentum. That's going to build up some more motivation. It's going to build up some more confidence in what you're doing, which means that you're going to start working towards what you actually want to achieve. And so that's all you need to do. It's just sit down and figure out, well, what's one little step that I can take today? Is it thinking about a plan? I've got 10 minutes today. I'm just going to write out a very quick 10-minute plan of what I can do for the next week. Done. Perfect. That's all you need to do. For me, what it was is I really wanted to get back into creating content, spreading some value, helping some people like yourself who might be struggling with the same type of things that I'm struggling with. So I thought, okay, well, what can I do? Well, for the next 30 days, I'm just going to commit to doing content creation. Create one piece of content like this video every single day for the next 30 days. That might be a big ask for you. It might not be aligned with what you're looking to do, and that's perfectly fine. But this is what I chose to do because that just gives me one thing to do every day. That's it. Create one video every single day. So the first thing I did was just create a list, and I wrote out 30 things, 30 topics that I can talk about. So now I have a list of things that I can talk about. I know what to do on a day-to-day basis. I don't have to think about it too much. And every time I record a video and do something like this, it's giving me the momentum, giving me the motivation, and my overwhelm has dramatically subsided. So that's the best place to start. And from there, you just layer upon it. So once you've built up a little bit of momentum and you're starting to feel good because you're actually doing something towards your goals, then next time you have 20 minutes or half an hour or an hour, schedule that in your diary, sit down and like, cool. So what do I need to do next? What's the next bigger step that I can take? So keep doing the day-to-day steps, but then just ask yourself, what do I need to do next? What's the next step? Is it working on my business? Is it thinking about what I want to do in the next 6 months, or set yourself a goal for where you want to be in 6 to 12 months, and then just work backwards from there. If you're working towards what you know, like in 12 months time, this is what I want. Cool. How can I get that? What's an actionable step that I can do today that's going to lead me towards it? And that's basically it. I mean, it doesn't have to be a big thing. Getting back into the flow of things is just that. You have to start the momentum to build the flow. So all you really need to do is just start taking one daily step and work towards it. Now, I hope this video has helped you in some way, but I have a question for you. What are you going to do, or what would you do to get yourself back into a flow state? Leave a comment below because I would love to learn from you. Plus, there's other people in the community out there who will read it and they're like, that's actually going to be really cool for me. So guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Leave a comment and stay tuned for the next video.